Yo, everybody, welcome back to Mr. Smith's YouTube channel. It's a new year, and we're going to be starting with a review of what we ended with last semester, which is arrays. All right, so I'm going to treat this like an introduction, even though we did spend about a week or two on this. This video is going to be part of a learning path that you will complete on its learning. While we are virtual, I'm going to try to take advantage of learning paths. All right, so let's just jump right into it. So just kind of a quick review. Everything we've done in the past, we've used one single container to store data. All right, so we've had a variable like an int or a double, and we've just stored a number or a string into that one variable. So now we got to change our mindsets. We're actually going to, instead of doing individual containers to store data, it's like we're creating a train that has multiple containers. So think about a train and how it has all the different carts. So in here, this is our first cart and it's got the number 1, second cart has number 2, etc. But one thing not to be confused about, and we talked about this, the indexes start at 0 in Java. All right, so this first container, this first cart is at index 0, then you have index 1, index 2. All right, it can get a little confusing, but just make sure that you are not, making that mistake. AP exam, they're going to try to trick you up on that. All right, so additionally, the nice thing about arrays is we can store all types of information in them. They just have to be the same type of information. So if we have an int array or an integer array, we can only put integers in there. If we have a string array, then we can only put strings. All right, so you just need to be very mindful that you're not mixing data types within an array. All right, so I'm going to start by just kind of reviewing how you declare an array. The way that you declare an array is you say its type. So the type is like int, double, string, boolean, whatever the data type is. Then you use square brackets, then the name of the variable. So what are you going to name your array? Let's say we're doing a name, or we're doing an array of people's names. We could probably call it name array. Or an array of people's birthdays, we could do date array. All right. So after that, you'll say equals new. Then you'll repeat the type. So if this was int, this is now int. If this was double, this is double. And then inside the final brackets, you need the size. All right. So again, if it's size 5, you'll put a 5 there. If it's 10, you'll put a 10. All right. The thing to remember is that the range of indices, remember it starts at 0. So this one is size 8, but our indices go from 0 to 7. All right, size 8, but goes from 0 to 7. All right. We also have this method shortcut that we can use called .length. So if we want the size of the array, we can just put the name of the array and then do .length, and it'll return the size. All right, so batting order is the name of this array. Then batting order.length will give us the size, which is 9. All right, just a quick shortcut. When you're initializing arrays, because you have more than one container, all right, when we had one variable, we would just say, string name is equal to Smitty. All right, but now we have all those containers we have to fill, so we need to use for loops. All right, so if you need to take a minute, go back and look at your for loop notes just so you can refresh yourself. Remember, you start with your initializer, then your condition, then your update. All right. So yeah, that's basically it. Kind of the same thing. If you want to print out an array, you got to print each container. So again, we need a for loop. All right. So you're going to be using these for loops a lot. Make sure you take advantage of the .length to find the size of the array. All right. So over the next week or so, we're going to go through these comprehension questions just as you get more and more practice. But for now, I just want to kind of walk through everything I talked about in the notes. All right, so open up your NetBeans and go ahead and pull up a new project. Make sure you select Java and Java application. All right, now that we're on the Java application, I'm just going to call this notes arrays. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make sure my create main method is clicked, because I'm going to do everything in the main method for this just to make it easy. So I'm subtracting out, I'm deleting out all the comments, and now I'm just going to work in my main method. All right, so declaring arrays. Let's go ahead and do an integer. So if you remember, the type is int, square brackets. Then I need the name. So let's do maybe some ages. Age array is equal to new int. And let's fill it full of like 6. Let's do 6 ages. So I've declared an int array. Now I need to initialize that array using a for loop. All right, so we're going to need a for loop. And int I is equal to 0. We start at 0 because what does the index, the very first index of an array start at? It starts at 0. All right, so for int I is equal to 0, as long as I is less than the array dot length, and we're going to increase I every time. So what that'll do is it will iterate through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it'll say is 5 less than 6 because the size of our array is 6, and it will fail and break out of the loop. All right, so remember, we go from 0 to 5, which actually gives us 6 indices, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because the size is 6, and this will say 5 is less than 6, and it'll evaluate as true. And then when it changes to 6, it'll become false. All right, so let's just say, you know, maybe we ask the user, how old are you? And I'm going to do a print statement so it all stays on the same line. So we're asking how old are you? And then we want to store that. So anytime we want to store information, we're going to need a scanner. So import java.util.scanner. Then we need to create the scanner. Static scanner keyboard equals new scanner system.in. All right. And now we can actually use that scanner by saying age array at I, because we want to change containers as the loop iterates through. So we want to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I is going to go inside those brackets. And then now we'll just use our scanner every time. All right, and we'll scan in the next int. So let's just check to see if it works. If I run this, uh-oh, I have an error. It still runs. Okay. How old are you? 12. How old are you? 6. My mom's like 50 something. My dog is 7. My other dog is like, I'm not gonna do that. Make it complicated. So I'm 32, about to be 33. All right, so it looks like it worked. It looks like it let me put in 6 different ages and stored it into our array. But the only way that we can actually check this is if I am missing a squiggly bracket here. Be careful of that, guys. Even I still do it. All right. The only way we can really check is if we print out the array. All right, and just like how we initialized it, we need this for loop. All right, and because I've already made it, I'm just gonna copy and paste. And instead of asking for the information, I'm just gonna print it out. All right. So I'm gonna say like age 1 or age number plus I plus maybe we'll do a colon, and then we'll print the spot in the array. So the spotted I. So basically I'm gonna say age number, and then it's gonna give me the indice, but I don't wanna say age number 0. So I need to actually say I plus 1 here. So that way, instead of giving me 0, it'll start at 1, and instead of ending at 5, it'll end at 6. So now if we run this, all right, it's gonna ask me for these ages, so I'm just gonna do that Betty White 99. And there we go. So age number 1 is 23. Age number 2 is 54. So it looks like it all worked. All right, just a little housekeeping. I'm gonna go in here and add just a space at the end. So that way they're spread out. So now if I run it, go in here. All right, and now they're nice and spread out. All right, I could even go in here and make this a print line instead of a print. All right, and run that. And I could do, you know, there you go. And you can see them kind of on separate lines. All right, so that's basically how arrays work. This is an example of an int array. I could do the same thing with doubles, strings, booleans. All right, it's just a data structure that holds multiple pieces of data. All right, well guys, that's about it for my introduction to arrays. We're gonna get in depth over the next couple of weeks. We're either gonna get into 2D arrays, and I'm gonna teach you how to play tic-tac-toe doing that. But other than that, just kind of wanted to get us back on track. As always, guys, please drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and check out my Instagram and Twitter. All right, thanks.